originally, we were asked to create these scholarships for students to go learn critical languages, but we didn't actually have enough cadets learning those languages to use up all the money they gave us. So what we did is we created what we thought would be a filler program or a feeder program. So what we created, the first trip was to North Africa, to Morocco, to Egypt, in which we only had 10 cadets. We took them over there in order to give them a better understanding of the geopolitical context of North Africa, the Middle East. And out of that, the original idea was, let's create a feeder program into critical languages. But out of that, we began to say, no, we can actually do quite a bit more with this. This can actually be a really powerful learning experience.
I didn't know much about the Corps excursions until I heard a couple of my buddies who had actually gone to Turkey, and they told me that it was the best time of their life. Not only did they get to see a foreign country, but they got to learn some more detailed information about it. For example, I'm going to be a part of the focus group military, so I'll be able to find out not only about Singapore and Indonesia, but more specifically about their military program.
I'm really looking forward to going to Singapore specifically because here's a culture that went through such an economic and cultural boom when it really connected with all of the trade to the Western civilizations, that it's been shaped by that boom. And it was really fast and relatively recent in our history as a world. I'm really interested in going over there and seeing not only the economic differences and stuff like that, but how the culture of that economic boom, how it affected their culture, and how similar it is to the globalized culture that we're used to via our technology nowadays, but also how it's different.
What we're looking for in the international excursions is an experience that helps the students to better understand the world that they're going into. So many of them will be military leaders, governmental leaders, business leaders. We want them to have a much better understanding of the geopolitical, the geocultural, the economic issues that are shaping the world that they're going to be leaders in.
This is my first time ever traveling outside the United States. Growing up as a military kid, I got to go to Alaska and I got to go to Hawaii, but I've never actually been outside the United States. So I think this is really cool that the first time that I get to go outside and travel internationally, that's going to be in Indonesia and Singapore.
Educationally, a big part of it is we want them to understand how the globe is changing on them, how their careers are likely going to impact with that, but also we think it gives them a much better understanding of their own major, their own field of study, when they can put that in a global context. And so one of the things we try to highlight is if you're an engineer on this program, if you're a business major, doesn't matter what your major is, we try to highlight those. And that's where tying in the 5 elements of national power allows us to capture a lot of the different dynamics. And so it's not a multi-dimensional trip. We look at all 5 of those issues everywhere we go. They have opportunities to interact with leaders in those fields, in all of those areas. And it's been a remarkably transformative experience for cadets.
I was not expecting the ability to relate so closely with the UPH students, and when we got the time to just kind of interact, it was almost hard to pull away from them, and they all wanted to be friends, and they were very friendly people. So that was a big awe moment for me, was understanding that they too were just as similar and just as friendly, and actually very, very fluent English too, which eliminated a lot of the language barrier too, so it was nice.
Indonesian people are wonderful. They're loving, they're humble. They are so open to anyone and to everyone. They're so respectful of any kind of culture, any kind of religion, and they just want to know everything. They ask so many questions, and they are just wonderful, wonderful, loving people. And I had such a wonderful time getting to know them, and I feel very honored that I had the opportunity.
We are all very grateful for this opportunity, and just the fact that we get to travel. Not a lot of cadets or people in general have the money and resources to travel to these places, and just the fact that being a member of the Corps of Cadets and being given these opportunities, we have to take them, and not only do we have to take them, but we have to learn as much as we can.